Hi, this is Wendy Harrington, and today I want to share with you what happened when I started to question my near-death experience. So on my channel I share lots of inspirational stuff, lots of stuff about the world that we can't see, about our full potential, about how we get our emotions out of the way to be what we truly are, and my passion is to inspire you. So if you like my channel, then please, there's a little box coming up now for you to subscribe, so please do subscribe to my channel. That would be amazing, thank you. So what happened in June of 2001 was I had a near-death experience, and in that experience I was going into this amazing light. It was just gorgeous, profound peace, the likes of which I'd never known, and I really wanted to go. It was so beautiful, and that experience was so real for me. I've made another video about that. I'll put the link to that below if you haven't seen that one. But that experience, I called it the bliss of my near-death experience because it was blissful, beautiful, and so real. And then when I started to get going on my recovery from my illness, one of the things I did was I studied some psychology. And one of the theories in psychology is that a near-death experience is just something that the brain does at that point in time. And I started to think, well, maybe it was just something that, happens in the brain at that point in time. And also I was medically sedated, so I had a lot of drugs in my system, who knows what those do to the functioning of our consciousness. And I started to question the reality of it. And then what happened was this. I was studying some Tai Chi, and we did a weekend workshop, and we went to this fabulous place on Dartmoor called Wisman's Wood. It's like just this most magical nature place, sort of twisted, stunted gnarled oaks, and there's a river and these huge rocks with moss on them. Really, really fabulous place. So after a long walk we arrive, and then the instructor said, please, sit down, eat your lunch in silence, and when you've eaten your lunch then we're going to do this exercise with a tree. And so I ate my lunch, and first off my mind was so busy. My sister was with me and I was sort of gesturing and making silly faces at my sister. So that's not being quiet, is it? And that's not being in silence, because although there's nothing coming out of my mouth, my mind was still not very quiet at all. Gradually that subsided. I was eating my lunch, and gradually I kind of thought, wow, do you know what's really beautiful here? And it was a sunny day, and the river and the mosses on the rocks, and all of a sudden I just had this profound realization that I was a part of nature. Now that may sound really crazy, but before that I'd really seen myself as something separate. I'm a human being and there is nature, and I think that's kind of what science does, is where it tries to separate the world out into parts rather than seeing it as this holistic, living, breathing thing. So this realization was kind of coming that I was a part of it, not something separate. Anyway, then we got up to do this exercise, and we just found a tree, chose a tree, and then we were just moving our hands back and forwards like this with the tree, eyes closed. And all of a sudden I just lost all sense of my separate self completely. Everything disappeared. I connected again with that incredible love, and I knew that everything came out of there, everything came out of love into form and back again. And it was just so profound. Then, as my mind kind of said, peace and love, man, and that kind of made me chuckle, and then I snapped back into, myself and this version of me in this body. And it just really made me chuckle, because it was like, okay then, right, so that, there definitely is something else. There's not, that it isn't just something that the brain does at that point in time in near-death experience. There definitely is something else. Of that I have absolutely no doubt at all. And now for me, death seems like an adventure. It doesn't seem like this hideous, fearful thing. And I always love to quote Peter Pan, because he said, to die would be a great adventure, and I think there's something in that. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. I mean, how do you feel about it? Because it can create a lot of fear in us, can't it? And certainly, obviously, I'm not saying about, I certainly am hoping that when it is my time and I do go, that there's not a lot of pain, because of course there can be a lot of pain around death, can't there? The illness and so on and so on. But I think that just for me, this knowing that it's not the end, this is a part of life, but it's not all of life, really fills me with great joy, actually. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. If you fancy joining my newsletter, I'll put a link below for that as well. Do sign up. I send out things as I channel now information and wisdom and things to help us all to return to that loving presence, because I believe that we can live from that place right now. We can be connected with that right now. We don't need to nearly die. We don't need to do anything dramatic like that. And it's connecting with that source of what we are right now in our day-to-day lives, so that we live from there. And I think, when we all start to do that, then we'll see a very different world. And that is where we will obtain peace, and because it starts with us and it starts inside of us. So yeah, lots of love from me to you, and I hope to see you again very soon. Bye for now.